without further ado, I'll go ahead and get started. So we are Team Orgo, and Orgo stands for Organize, Restore, Govern, and Outlast. And so Orgo has a vision of the world where individuals take the actions required to regenerate the land, to regenerate the earth. And we do that through gamifying the stewardship tasks and the volunteer activities that communities can take to regenerate their land, and enabling communities to operate a decentralized operation for other community assets. So some facts and figures about the US, there's 15,000 nonprofits. I can skip through a little bit of this, but at the end of the day, this is more about our business model and what we're trying to do with what we're doing, and less about what Lala Garden gets out of it. But at the end of the day, there's 75% of Americans out there that are not volunteering that we could potentially start to tap into when we gamify and reward them. So the big problem that we're trying to solve is that Earth is running out of time, and the economic system we have doesn't value the regeneration at sites like Lala Gardens. And this is largely due to a number of factors, but the specific problems that we're trying to address are the high cost of managing volunteers and verifying the impacts that the individual volunteers are doing, as well as the larger nonprofit organization. And then the volunteers themselves are overworked and out of time. I can definitely relate to that from the other permaculture projects that I've been involved with in the past. And then for this verification piece, the environmental data, to create a carbon credit or any type of other, whatever you're trying to say about impacting the environment, it's difficult to obtain and it can be very expensive. People usually just use like satellite or something that's, easy to find. So what we're providing is an app. The first version is a web app that you can get to on a browser from your phone or from your computer to gamify regeneration by rewarding communities for the impacts that they make. So we're using the evidence that mobile devices take to verify impacts that are happening on the ground. And then we're issuing a blockchain credential. So the first version is a KILT credential. It's a .sama parachain. And so basically you have this blockchain credential, and then you'll be able to export it and use it however you'd like to prove what you've done. And then the app itself Lala Gardens can direct volunteers on what tasks to take. So guiding them through what is important tasks to do on site and what is most important data to collect to verify the impacts that's happening. So some more stuff about our business model, but we're building this for a big ecosystem of types of users. And Lala Gardens is this big first one, community managers. This is our primary user who's using the Orgo app to verify the impact that they're creating and create a record of these impacts that they can find sponsors and grants for. So sponsors are down here at the bottom. Corporations want to say that they're making an impact, but their processes are not, regenerative. So they will purchase impacts that other groups are making to kind of claim in their marketing, like, we planted 1,000 trees or whatever they're trying to do. So we're trying to create a marketplace for the impact that you're creating to get verified, and then to sell those statements as a marketing to someone else, or you could connect it to public, government funding or grant funding. But you're verifying and making grant reporting easier. You're actually making this claim and marketplace process easier. And then there's the volunteer side of it. So what do the actual users coming to Lala Gardens, what do they experience? And how do we optimize their process of being a volunteer and making it more fun and engaging and easier for you to, instead of, marketing volunteer events and having volunteer event shifts and it's a lot of administrative and stuff involved with that. So this app is something easy so someone could pick up and come to Lala Gardens really quickly to do it. Here's some views of the app, but I'm actually going to take you into the live website in a minute so we can click around with it. But yeah, I think all these features, we already kind of touched on all of this stuff. I'm just trying to skip through this PowerPoint to see what else we need to show you. And so a really big part of what I mentioned about engaging these volunteers is the gamification aspect of it. So we have here in the center, our mascot is the Orgo Earth Golem. And if you're not familiar with the myth of the golem, it's this idea that you bring a piece of earth to life and you give it a task to go and perform. And what we're doing is flipping that around. So the earth is giving humans a task. So anyway, that's why it's here. He's our little mascot, and we're trying to make these regenerative tasks. So as you perform regenerative tasks, you get these points, and then you get up on the leaderboard and you can get NFTs and other rewards by getting those blockchain credentials I mentioned earlier. So we have some details about the business model, and everything would be free upfront for Lala Gardens, and we have a free model where always stay free because we want to work with even the smallest organization possible. But we are trying to make a bigger impact and provide a product that people will pay a subscription for. So we're imagining, like a big company like the World Wildlife Foundation or something would pay, like a few $100s a month to have this tool. And I think with that, I can jump into, here's our team, but I'm gonna jump into the actual app itself. So I would pull that up. You can please, share your questions. Let me open the chat and make sure I answered all of those. So the website is orgo.earth. It's live right now. You can do it. We're in alpha testing phase. So if you are not Lala Gardens on the call, you can click here to verify your community. And it's just a tiny application that we're going to set up a meeting with you. We basically just want to make sure you're a real human and you are who you say you are. And so I'm already logged in, but you saw that was the login page there. I'm logged into another community pilot project that we have. This is Decoval. And they use volunteers to generate habitat on an old industrial shipyard. So they are remediating the toxic soil, and they're directing volunteer work days to take care of the plants, plant new plants, all this different stuff. And so this is their page. So Lala Gardens, when you log into the Orgo app, this is the view that you'll see. This is the community dashboard. And so basically what you have is this ability to create a task. And so this is what the volunteers will see when they log in. So at this, we had a document the vital remediation process task. So within this task, right now, the Orgo app can accept photo and text evidence. So this is asking you to take a photo of this vital remediation process. And then the Decoval community is going to collect all of this user data to help with the, they're trying to get a further approval from the city of Amsterdam to maintain their property longer into the future. They're at the end of a 10-year lease now. So showing this vital remediation process and documenting the efforts that is being done on the land is going to help them to get their lease extended. And so this is the dashboard. This is tasks. You can create new tasks. You can list all this information about the method that the user has to perform to get approved. And then once people start sending in evidence, you'll see in the submission tab, you can click in, and this was an image submitted by a user, Areola, to name a tree. So she named a tree on the site and called it the Whispering Shade. And then the other piece, I'm going to log out and show you the volunteer side. I'm going to switch to a volunteer account, and I'm going to log into my personal account here. If get the password. So now I'm on the volunteer side, and I'm looking at that same Decoval community. And so I can see all of the same tasks. Here's the document, the vital remediation process task, a little bit more about it, and then the submission requirement. Submit a photo and document one or more elements of vital remediation. And on the mobile device, you'll see it differently. It'll ask you for your location, and then it'll ask to use your camera when you turn on the camera here. I'm not sure if it's about to turn on the actual webcam. I think it, oh, there it goes. I think it only, I thought it only worked on the mobile phone, but I guess it works here too. But you can take a photo, and then you can add some, whatever. This is my vital remediation. And this obviously will not get approved because I didn't actually do the requirements of the task, but I just want to show you the functionality of how it works. You can tag other people, and this will split the rewards for completing this task with multiple people. You can see here this task has 750 Orgo Earth points. It's just a Web 2 game token for now, and in the future we'll have a real blockchain token. Then you can click submit. And so this photo has a location enabled so you can track and verify that you can't upload from the photo reel. You have to take it from within the app on site, and we'll have to collect the location to do that. And so you can see the location when you can see this is under review. So then back on the community side, you would go in and you could approve this. And now these points could be released to this user account. So the final thing I'll show you is the explore page. And we are building the next version of it right now that will have a map view. But right now we have the community profiles here and then volunteers here. So you can click in and learn more about the community and see what social media they're connected to, and then the volunteer accounts. You can see more information about volunteer profiles. So we're still building lots of the next features, such as being able to export the credential to, like other social media and stuff like that. And overall, right now, what we're doing is onboarding new communities into the system to start testing it. So this is like the alpha release. And so we would like to continue to build this specific to what Lala Garden wants and needs out of an app like this. And we have right now the small amount of funding that we do, we're using as wisely as we can to with our developers. We have a team of 7 in-house, and then we have a developer team that we're working to build the app. So I wanted to share where we're at in the process of building it, and then get you guys set up with how you could get started to create these credentials and start testing it out. And yeah, I'll turn off the screen share there, and I'm open for all your questions about it now.
Amazing. Thank you, Joe. A few questions immediately came forward for me. So the tokens that are now sort of Web2 gamified, will you have the ability to work with different types of tokens, or even POAPs as a kind of because I know there's like organizations within organizations, and is there going to be a way to link all those things together?
Yes, we have a cross-chain vision, and it's looking like we are going to receive funding to build on Kilt first. So that is in the Kusama Polkadot ecosystem.
Nice.
So those types of tokens and smart contracts and NFTs would be the first thing, because that's the blockchain that we're issuing the first credential on. But we have a cross-chain future, and what I imagine happening is that each task, each user will have like a wallet that we could continue to plug in more and more blockchains to, and then be able to interact with whatever token that you're thinking about. I think it has to be EVM soon. So we'll have the Dotsama ecosystem, the EVM ecosystems, and then I guess the other ones would just be Solana and Cardano left. But that may be the order of events right now. But yeah, that's absolutely the idea, that communities will have a shared treasury attached to their account, and then volunteers will have their own wallet account, and that all these different types of tokens will be able to be in the mix.
Nice. Excellent. Yeah, I'd love to hear questions from anyone else. Yeah, I guess the one question from Sydney from Permatours, do they have protocols, badges? Yes. Smart contracts. Regen Garden can adopt, so cross contracts. And I'm not a developer. I don't know what that looks like. Yeah, it looks
So
like yes.
I think we have what they're looking for. So the protocols right now, we're building the functionality. It hasn't, we're like, right now we're designing the next steps of what the next steps of the build are going to look like. And one feature that we're talking about is to sort of crowdsource and like vote as a community on the priorities of tasks and rewards to assign to tasks. So maybe for the protocols, like that's coming up soon. The NFT member management, we do not currently have in our roadmap that we will add that. I think she's talking about something like um, when you log in with Collabland on Discord, that you have this membership NFT and now you have access to this next stage. We are building now the privacy settings. So right now everything is public when you become a community, and the tasks that you issue as a community are fully public for all of our registered communities, which is that short list of like 4 or 5 communities on there right now that Lala Gardens can join. And then as other communities get registered, they become public. But before you're a registered community, none of your tasks are visible. But that would be a really cool feature to add. I'm actually going to add that to my notes, that we should have the NFT membership for who can view and access the privacy settings of the community. And what we are building for is just the email login. So we can basically accomplish that by giving an email or assigning like the privacy settings by the email addresses of the users, but we don't have that integrated with NFTs now, and it's not currently on our timeline, but I'm going to make a note of that because it's a really good idea.
But it sounds like, for instance, if I had a live event and I was issuing, so it sounds like I could sort of almost issue what looks like POAPs through your app, and then that could lead eventually to an issuance of an NFT that could be
Yeah,
integrated kind of later.
yeah, absolutely. The other way around, we can definitely do that part. We have already issued POAPs from our last 2 community onboarding events. So we had all the tasks, and then the winners of the game at the end of the day, we issued POAPs to the top 3 winners. So we've already done that process, and it's still a little bit manual on our end to create the POAP, and then but we have the emails when you create the account, and so we can see how many points per email, and then it's just a matter of setting up the POAP, like who gets what for how much points or whatever, however you're setting it up. But basically we can do that, pushing POAPs from Orgo to users. And the part I was saying was we haven't integrated like reading the POAPs in your wallet to give you access to some membership or the other side of it. But absolutely, you can issue POAPs now based off of data collected and verified using Orgo.
That's very cool. And then as far as like, because I know I'm going to be doing a lot of sort of eventually taking data from actual things that are happening in the garden and almost translating into carbon credits. So it sounds like there'll be a way to integrate with like Regen Network and Toucan and that sort. Yeah.
We're meeting with Region on Wednesday, and they're excited about the possibility to gamify all of their existing land stewards. So I think creating like a user experience more for the layperson is sort of missing from the whole ecosystem. There are some people working on some stuff, but we're excited to show them what you could do for like anyone coming up to one of their steward sites that want to help with the process of creating a soil carbon credit or whatever's going on. And so what is on our timeline, what we're trying to build for is the ability for people like Region and other credit issuers to define their methods that turns into a task template. So you, Lala Gardens, could open up, and copy the whatever soil carbon credit task template and just turn it on for your community. And then you'll have you could use your account or someone else's account to do the steps to create the data that Region needs to issue their credit, and then export that data to create the credit once it's approved in the Orgo app. So we're trying to get there, and it's going to be a process to build that, but that's absolutely the vision and the goal, is to provide this first-person perspective of the landscape that's so difficult and expensive to collect.
That's amazing. So just to kind of keep going with that in a minute, and anyone interrupt me if they have a question about any, I don't want to hate the questions at all. But I'm wondering, because a lot about the for me as a natural farmer, a lot of it has to do with water sequestration and building these certain functions of the soil that lead into the carbon credit, but are kind of an interesting addendum. And I'm wondering, like we're working in association with Regen Living, who is Leah Gibson, who is a PhD, and she's sort of wanting to come up with a set of functions that lead to some kind of potential certification or something. So like, it sounds like we would be able to come up with a methodology and use your app to kind of like structure that so that we could lead into a conversation with Regen about transferring these kind of like water sponge credits and almost give them a valuation within the carbon credit environment. Does that seem doable?
Yeah, absolutely. This is why we vibe so much in Denver, because we're on the exact same page. Like, it seems like 85 or 90% of the market, globally for sustainability and within refi, it's all about carbon. And it's just so interesting because my background in permaculture design, carbon is like an element in the ecosystem, but carbon people talk about, in like water sequestration or water harvesting and all these other things that happen when you plant a large biomass of trees, such as habitat or whatever else you can do with urban heat island effect, all these different things. Those are all the co-benefits to producing a carbon credit, and it's just not the way that I see things. And I think Orgo kind of comes from that more holistic view. And so we want to create a marketplace where anyone could create sort of their own method and then establish a task method that any community could use, and then any volunteer, like layperson, could pick it up, and within within less than 2 to 4 hours, they could be a contributor to producing this verified credit of an impact that's happening somewhere. But absolutely, I'm so super interested in everything other than carbon. It just unfortunately seems like where these companies and corporations and governments want to spend money to say that they're sustainable, it's all based off of buying and selling carbon. So I think we're a little bit forced to at least address it and be a part of it. But I think that there's so much more important things that we need to do, such as habitat and even social justice and equity and community building, like mutual aid, all of these different things that are public goods that are the market system is not able to support financially. So if we can lower the transaction cost to measure those impacts and provide the marketplace, it's much easier to buy and sell those types of impacts, then that's the vision that we're trying to build for.
Incredible. Someone else?
Magenta, similar question to this vein. I'm from Bloom Network and we're making a fancy media site to view this type of activity, and also has a regenerative action reward system. I'm wondering if there's a way for communities to simultaneously report. I suppose it's the other way from Region Network, where if our peeps log their action on Bloom's site, could we feed those into Orgo? We can make the way we collect the data interoperable with Orgo. Unless, like with Lala Gardens, they want to use Orgo first and then be the other way around. No problem, no Mike. Hi, Magenta. Thank you for your question. I feel like we might have been at the NFT hackathon together, unless there's someone else running around named Magenta. But so in terms of other sources of data, we have on the timeline coming in to upload a file as part of, so right now we have photo and text. That's the two data types that a Orgo task can submit and be verified for. And what we're doing is changing how that task methodology works. So what we're going to add next is any file upload. So you will be able to upload from your photo reel. And it's kind of this big complicated question because it's like depends on so many people to get one single methodology all the way through. But basically, we're adding other types of data and sensors that you could collect within the smartphone. So say, for example, you drone the area and now you have the drone photos. We want to have a file upload so that that can be a part of credentialing that this certain type of activity was recorded. So it's all coming back from the task creator, which in this case would be Lala Gardens, and how they define the methodology that's needed using the tools that we're offering. As I said, right now it's photo and text. We want to offer more. So what it sounds like is we could have some sort of file upload or whatever data Bloom has, like the manual short term, like what's already on our timeline of what we're building, is you could have a file export from Bloom and then upload that when you're submitting your Orgo credential. And then the community manager would verify and check, okay, yeah, this is from Bloom, this looks good, this is approved, and now you get the credential from Orgo that has gotten completed. I think the best case scenario would be to like have a deeper integration. I don't even know if it's possible. It depends on how everything's all set up, but like on the API level, so that someone creating a Bloom account and getting verified, automatically they have their Orgo account and the credentials like, waiting for them. But that would probably be harder to do. Um, but yeah, right now what we're building for is expanding what you can submit with your uh, task evidence to include file upload. And I think that would be the simplest, quickest way to do that. I definitely like I would love to do that. What I'm interested in is collaborating and overall just fixing this bigger problem of what's going wrong with the earth and the people who are doing the most not getting paid for their efforts. That's really what I'm caring about. So we're trying to produce these credentials in this marketplace to support and pay those people. If your network has like these impacts that we can verify and issue credentials for, I'd love to do that as quick and easy as possible and give access to these funds that hopefully the Orgo credentials marketplace will give those people making impact with the Bloom network.
Incredible. Anybody else have any questions? Yeah, I understand better how it operates, and I feel like it's going to be just really, feet on the ground, able to like put some of this stuff into action and executable. Like, uh, good work.
Thank you. Yeah, everyone go on orgo.earth website and make a volunteer account. You can make a community account, Tina, and share the email you use with me, and we'll make you registered so you show up on that list. But yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity to present. And was today when we were supposed to have two agendas? I'm sorry if I missed the other Olive Gardens meeting you sent me, maybe in Discord or something like that. But was there anything else we needed to cover today? I'm trying to find the email now.
No, it was mostly me bringing the different communities together. So I'm really happy that Magenta is here and Neil is here because he represents Regen Living, and Basil is kind of reappearing on the scene in a beautiful way. He's very involved with some media, and so it might be really interesting to kind of highlight what's going on and the application of this and how we are coordinated within communities to do, coordinated work. What? And yeah, Letty's helping with the organizational and also sort of the legal, and yeah, so we've got a good representation here.
Right.
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to see what the interface was going to be like, and I feel confident that we did that.
Okay, very cool. Well, yeah, if you have any feedback, you can, obviously email me, but even right now, if you have any thoughts about if we're off base or if you have any direction of like, it would be even better or you're on the right track, if you add this would be cool. Like we're building it. And as I said, we would love to build it for you, Lala Gardens, and whoever other communities are here. It needs to come from you guys doing the work on the ground of what you actually need. So we're working on a few hypotheses that we can provide these credentials in this marketplace, and that I'm imagining that all these different organizations that are doing this really cool work that's not a carbon credit, that they can now find a new way to get funding. And it's going to be like this grassroots cool thing that happens. So yeah, I just want to make sure that it's very attuned to your needs and how you see yourselves using it. So any of that type of feedback, we're very open to, and we're currently building it. So we can tweak it and make it custom for you. One thing we talked about on that vein was white labeling. So instead of the Orgo app, you'd have the Lala Gardens app or something like that. And I think that can be really interesting. So that, we're kind of going into the background more and more, but that this impact is still getting tracked, and that this, this funding is still getting found. So yeah, I'm open to all that types of feedback. And thank you again for inviting us to speak. I'm sure we're going to have a lot more conversations
Oh,
next.
I'm so excited. And that white labeling is kind of exciting to me.
Yeah, people really like that one.
Yeah.
Because then you're like in this cool club where it's like, oh, we're like a community garden, but we've got an app,
Yeah, and we measure the water sponge, the soil, what? Yeah.
Yeah, like helping you with your grants writing and stuff. If you have that technology side, that's what we have a 4-H club and community garden in Melbourne, Florida, and she's like, I can get different kinds of money once I have an app, So anyways, multiple levels. Hopefully it all can synchronize together and support your impact.
Oh, thank you so much, Joe. Appreciate you. Anybody else want to pipe up, or are we good? Closings.
Just to say hi to the Regen guys and make sure to weave them in so that we can start to push their platform through our marketing efforts, sort of woven into what we're doing. I've been waiting to sort of take their tech to like the more consumer level, at least in like a training exercise, so people with their backyards and their land projects can start to understand how to like measure ecological state of change. I was working with them a bit early on with like just, in a program for concepting like how to do that for my project in Thailand, but for every single project, there's a different path for that land. Tina is extremely attuned to where to start with the bacteria. And so the more that we can kind of build all of these tech layers into sort of our practices, the better. Yeah.
Yeah, super cool. I'm really excited to meet with them. I've been trying to kind of build roads into the Regen network for a while, and I think that they're really the experts in the space on the scientific understanding of ecosystem, credits, and how do we verify that impact is happening in a more decentralized way other than, these other really big carbon credit producers out there. So absolutely, that is such a cool vision. If we could use Orgo to help support that in some way, I think we would be really, really pleased to continue to work with them. So I will stay in the loop. I will keep Tina in the loop with what happens with Regen Network moving forward. But it looks like we may be able to do some sort of test runs, hopefully with them soon, to try to gamify and create that, lay person or consumer type of experience with credits.
Perfect. And if you need any, like if if there's anything that we can do on the ground to facilitate that connection, even through proposal writing or whatever, don't hesitate to ask. All of, let's do that. Love it. All right. Well, I guess I'm somewhat of the facilitator, so I'm going to call an end to the meeting. And Joe, it's been a pleasure getting to know your app a little better. And I just can't wait to start implementing it as an organization and seeing where we can take it.
Yeah, I'm so excited. A lot has changed since we last, met in person, and I'm really excited to share the progress with you. So very, very cool. Let me know any next steps on your end, and we'll just stay in the loop together and start hashing this out.
Perfect. All right. Thanks all.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.